Out and all the haters in full force on opening weekend, the Fighting Irish head into College Station with many questions looming, not only its program but its relevance to the 12-team inaugural 2024 playoff picture. Want to find out how they performed? Stay tuned to Talk Like a Champion. Welcome back, Irish faithful. Thank you all so much for joining us for another edition of Talk Like a Champion. I am the one and only Mr. CeeLo, joining you here on a victorious Sunday afternoon. The final Sunday afternoon that I will be joining you from, being that the NFL season will be kicking off next Sunday, and I will be very, very busy not only watching games, but I will be critiquing games. But if you want to check that out, I'm over at Gridiron Gab Pro Style. Also, if you want to check out my other show, Gridiron Gab Triple Option, I will be going through the doings of all of college football. But I got to get to a couple of comments on a couple of the platforms that I am associated with. And listen, you can agree, but this is what I saw as far as the game was going yesterday evening. I got a lot of likes from a lot of people that saw what I saw, including a couple of people I'm close to, but I also had a lot of people. There were certain people like Joe that said he's running for his life. The O-line is horrible. And honestly, that's not correct. They're saying they can't block for him and they can't run block. Not his fault. I hate to say this, but I'm sitting here watching this game, and for a offense that only had 6 starts combined, a lot of this is on Riley because too many times the safety or the rover was coming down in the box right there at the last minute. Not only did Riley not recognize it and get the offensive line to pick it up, he didn't even know it was coming himself. Now, a lot of people are going to say this is the first time in this offense. Well, here's the problem that I have with that point. You are a senior. Most of these guys that are on the offensive line are either at the most juniors and sophomores, and you've got a couple of true freshmen. The point of you being back there and not Steve Angeli is your experience. Now, do I honestly think his running ability what was a huge plus for the Fighting Irish? Of course. I totally believe that there were some plays that were made that only he could have made. And there were a couple of plays that if he just keeps his head about him, he threw one right into the dirt when he did a great job to get out of trouble, but then he had it was either a back or a receiver that was wide open. It was a 8 to 9 yard throw. He just threw it right into the dirt. If he catches this ball, and guys, I'm going to do a better job in the coming weeks of actually getting the game on film so I can analyze it for you. I have a slate board that I'm going to be able to analyze it for you. And guys, as I said before, this is going to be a situation where I'm going to do better with breaking down plays because I can't just tell you. I want to be able to show you. Now, with a lot of what went down in this game offensively, our running backs are very good. And we can't even begin to talk about how ecstatic I was to see the Irish running backs just impose their abilities on the back seven of the Texas A&M Aggies. Because when people say they can't block, they can't run block, let me help you guys out with something. Texas A&M on a regular basis was putting 7, 8, and even at one time, all 11 guys were in the box. On that play that we broke to put the game away, the play that broke it, that 21-yard Jeremiah Love touchdown run, this play, there was a small gap, but they had 11 in the box. See, this is where if you are that dude, you have to allow the offensive line to know we got 11. Basically, in a nutshell, you have to let guys know what they're supposed to do blocking-wise. And the truth of the matter is, I don't know if he's capable of it. So this whole narrative that the offensive line was not good, that they were terrible, that they were X, Y, and Z, I'm just not going to go with that. Because I'm going to be honest with you, they made some great blocks at times. Nobody's going to be perfect in Kyle Field. But I'm going to get to the defense in a minute, but I'm shortly wanting to go to the comments that were made on Notre Dame football fans. This is a group on Facebook. It's a very active group too, you guys. Go to it and check it out. But then you say, hate to be negative, but the O-line is young, might be a bit till they get. He can do what's expected. I don't agree. Because the fact of the matter is, Riley Leonard only threw 2 decent passes. Well, I'll give him 3. One was that back shoulder, which was all on Bo Collins. He made a heck of a grab. Then he made that one slant to Jaden Greathouse. Too many times he looked like he didn't know what he was doing. And not to mention, majority of the time when there's a blitz coming as a quarterback, the first thing you are supposed to do, survey the field. Look around. This is what I'm seeing the whole time. He's just getting himself and the running back lined up in position. He's not really looking down the line. He's not even looking, because I tell my guys straight up, the 2 things I'm looking at where both those safeties are, and then I'm watching the middle linebacker. And then right before I take the snap, I'm giving one more look at these guys, and then I'm going to also see what kind of press coverage I got with my cornerback, with the wide receivers. And I determine whether or not that I can change the play at the line. Now, maybe Riley Leonard has not had this kind of coaching in the past, but if this needs to be a lesson for the Irish coaching staff. We need to do what we did with Sam Hartman on quite a few instances, and even Ian Book. Give the guys some liberty at the line of scrimmage. We have to have a quarterback that commands the offense, that is truly a quarterback. To me, all I see Riley Leonard as is a running back playing quarterback. You are a senior. And Connor Wigman did not look much better on the opposing side. Now, it has a lot to do with the Irish defense. I will admit that. But I agree with what Jeff Richter said. He needs to calm down and step up in the pocket more. He's immediately trying to leave the pocket, run to the sidelines as soon as he drops back. Let's hope it's just rust. Jeff, thank you so much, my friend. That is an excellent analysis by you, my friend. Because here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't help the line out by stepping up or being patient in the pocket, what good is your athleticism? You cannot. This is where Jeff is absolutely right. This is what separates the Tom Brady's and even the Patrick Mahomeses. There are some times it's best to step up and wait for the play to develop. You're not going to win every play. There's going to be plays where you're going to get sacked. There's going to be plays where you're not going to make a play. But here's the thing. You have to understand there's some plays you're not designed to go outside. There was one play, he stepped up so early, he never allowed the end to commit to the edge. And what happened is the the offensive tackle was attempting to continue to block him straight up. He was about to hit the edge, and then he pulled the club move and got the tackle to go outside when Leonard went inside. He didn't allow him to go enough to his outside shoulder, so that tackle could continue to push him here, and that creates that rush or that step up lane that you love to have as a quarterback, where you can either decide you could step up and look downfield, or you can extend the play to the outside. And he ended up getting sacked on the play because he never allowed him to step up into the tackle's outside shoulder. Instead, he was able to club him because he still had his momentum and the tackle's momentum going backwards instead of going to the corner. Because if that happens and he steps up, guess what? He's going to try to come back this way, and the tackle's going to be able to push him along this way. It's a lot of geometry involved in it as well. You also have to play chess while you're in that pocket, Riley. You cannot keep leaving the pocket so early. Robbie said exactly what I said. Offensive line has done much better. They are very young. And then Matt said, I would like to know why is it that every offensive coordinator that comes in, regardless of his credentials, runs the same pathetic playbook that Notre Dame always had.
It's official.
Not sure people understand how good AnM defense is. Finished 23 in top 20 in the country. Plus infusion of Mike Elko. We all saw what he did at an ND. He'll only make them better. Rich, I understand. I agree with you. But the fact is, AnM didn't show me anything on either side of the football. The fact remains is that AnM's defense is a blitz concept type defense. And you have to have a quarterback that understands that. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, these are 20, 21-year-old kids. That's not an excuse. Especially when you got a guy like Steve Angeli on the backside. And I've always been a supporter of a homegrown quarterback. And this is what I feel we need to start focusing on. Steve Angeli is a junior. We've got CJ Carr, and we've got Riley, who's a senior, and then we got Kenny Minchie. We've got a ton of quarterbacks on this roster. Eventually, what's got to happen is that there's going to have to be decisions that are going to have to be made. You think CJ Carr is going to ride the bench another 2 years? You think Kenny Minchie is going to ride the bench another year? You think Steve Angeli, who's still being patient after he had a really good spring game, do you think this guy's going to keep sitting here and not wanting to play and not getting to play? He's going to graduate. And I'm going to be honest with you. Everybody's going to sit there and say it's up to Kenny Minchie to win the job or CJ Carr to win the job. I'm a firm believer you can lose a season based on who's under center or who's behind center. Now, our schedule is pretty favorable. But I'm going to say it like this. Irish fans, some of you disagree with me. Some of you agree with me. Now, let's get into the specifics. Such as, first, let's go to the offense. I was extremely concerned when I first watched this game and I saw how quick Texas A&M's edge guys were. And as big as they were really impressive to watch. When you look along the lines of the game and you look at the 23-13 victory that the Irish were able to pull out, considering they were 3-point underdogs. And not to mention blank Desmond, Pat, Nick, and Kirk, because we knew you would have it in A&M, but thanks to Lee Corso. That's a really beautiful thing. And I really don't like the ESPN headline. I really don't. It says, Notre Dame outlasts Texas A&M to grab road win in season opener. Here's the thing. I get it. Notre Dame was favored as far as the rankings go. But when Vegas says that you're not favored, I hate to say this, and the reality of it is, I think, and then you get all the analysts on the panel with the exception of the great one, Lee Corso. I think there's a huge issue there. And I truly believe this being Notre Dame's strong suit, which is their running game, this is where Riley Leonard has to do his thing. A&M knew it. A&M was putting 7 and 8 and 9 guys in the box. If you look at many of Notre Dame's big runs, and we're not talking about the defense. We're gonna get there. Trust me, I promise you. When you look at Notre Dame's big runs, all you have to do is ask yourself one question: is how many guys were coming in the box? See, on a lot of those, what initially happened is you got good push, and even one that they called a hold on, which, listen, I've seen that not called 1,000 times. But what would happen is the Texas A&M Aggies were so hell-bent on stopping the run, not afraid of Riley Leonard, that, in my personal opinion, the few times that you saw, even on the touchdown run that I'm looking at right now, you can watch the play and you can see that A&M only had 4 guys committed to the line of scrimmage. Even the linebackers were 5 yards off the football. And they didn't commit. The safety didn't commit. The 2 touchdowns that they scored, they were guest plays by the Texas A&M defense. So this whole notion that the offensive line couldn't get it done, a large part of what was going on was a chess match between Denbrock and the A&M defense. And unfortunately, he was not getting enough feedback from his quarterback. You've got to see that safety is creeping up. You've got to see that middle linebacker is coming up on the snap. I get it, the crowd noise. It was a huge issue. Not for the offensive line. This is where I have problems with people that say that the O-line. If I recall correctly, the offensive line only had 2 penalties. But as a team, we ultimately had 11 penalties for 99 yards. The A&M should have had way more than that, guys. And we should have had way fewer than that. So there was some bad calls in that game. But this is where we got to look at this, guys. We still had 198 yards rushing. Now, this is where, as I said before, there are things that we have to shore up. We were 2 of 12 on 3rd down, 4 of 13 for the A&M Aggies. We were 1 of 2 on 4th down. Now, this is something that is impressive when you think about the fact that Notre Dame played this game the way they wanted to play it. Not saying it happened exactly how they wanted it, but they kept it in a situation where they were close. They didn't let the crowd get into it for the most part. I felt like when they got that 4th down stop, that was going to be the end. I thought they were going to snatch the momentum, and it was just going to be downhill from there. But it was impressive to watch the Irish score 10 points in the 4th quarter and score 7 in the 3rd and shut out A&M. But I'm going to be honest with you, when you look at this offense, and I know what people are going to say, Denbrock's got a lot of work to do. Not really. Because looking at this, they're not going to have any top-notch defenses to play. I'm not really sold on Florida State's defense, not really sold on what USC's got to bring to the table. I will say, however, that Georgia Tech is going to be an intriguing matchup. But let's look at the defensive side. Well, let's look at the statistics for the offense before we go to the well-celebrated defense. Riley Leonard, 18 of 30, 158 yards. Jeremiah Love, 14 carries, 91 yards, and that important touchdown. Jadarian Price only had 8 carries for 44 yards and a score. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm very happy with what I saw out of him. He looked relatively good considering how difficult it was to run against that A&M 8-man front. Bo Collins had a great Notre Dame debut. 5 grabs, 62 yards. Jaden Grayhouse, 3 catches, 26 yards. Cooper Flanagan had a good game in place of Mitchell Evans. Right now, I think they're bringing Mitchell Evans on. I think he came for a couple of plays, maybe. So Jaden Thomas had a catch. And I'm going to be honest with you, Chris Mitchell had a decent look. And I'm going to be honest with you, looking at these other guys, I think we've got some serious go out here. Like I said, he's going to have to show Riley Leonard what it's like to gauge an offense. Now, we escaped this one, but we're not going to win a national championship or win any games in that 12-team playoff. unless we get established offense together. Bo Collins, Jaden Grayhouse, and Mitchell Evans, and even Cooper Flanagan are going to be a huge part of that passing game. Denbrock's going to have to get Riley Leonard in the idea of saying, let's throw back shoulder fades, let's throw guys open. Because the reality of it is, Bo Collins has shown he is a star in the making. And that little push, I hope, is out of his system. I hope it's out of his system. Because the reality of it is, he needs to get more involved. And I think he's going to be able to. I truly do. But let's go to this wonderful, awesome defense. And I'm going to be honest with you. What is really fascinating is that AnM was able to run for as many yards as they did. I did not know they ran for almost 150 yards, 146 to be exact. But they averaged 3.8 yards a carry. And this is where I tell people all the time. Yes, Notre Dame had 3 really big runs in this game, which put their average up to 5.3. But here's the thing. They still count. They still count. Because at one point, I remember listening to the broadcast, and they said, oh, Riley Leonard's the leading rusher on the team. He had 12 carries, 63 yards. And the thing about it is he needs to be one of the top rushers on the team because guess what? His throwing is not that good right now. And his wheels do open up the passing and the running game. That's what you want. However, let's look at that defense and we look how great the defense was. We didn't get a whole lot of pressure, but when we needed the pressure, we got pressure. So much so we shook Connor Wigman in to 2 interceptions and a near 2 more that were off the hands of Notre Dame defenders. Adon Schuler and Xavier Watts, Mr. Bronco Nagurski Award winner, had an interception. It was a nice one. Even though it was behind the receiver, he still was able to dig it up out. Now, most people forget Xavier Watts was a wide receiver converted into a safety, which makes so much sense. They had him and I love what Al Golden is doing with him. They're allowing him to man up on tight ends. This is why this play was made, because he's so much quicker. Even if he gets beat by a tight end, he's able to cut. And his coverage has gotten, man-on-man coverage has gotten so much better. And I love this move by Al Golden, putting him in coverage situations and basically either going cover 0 or cover 1 and allowing the Irish to blitz in so many forms. As well as picking up a large number of tackles for losses as well as sacks. We saw Howard Cross, the senior, come out there and do his thing. Drake Bowen had 4 tackles. Hinish had 5 tackles. Jalen Sneed 5. Jordan Patella had 6. Jack Kaiser had 8 tackles. Sneed had a tackle for a loss. And listen, we can sit here and we can talk all day. Yes, we had a sack, but we had several tackle for losses. Rod Hurd had a tackle for a loss. And the reality of it is, guys, we keep doing this. It's going to be a tough sled. It's going to be tough sledding for any team that comes in here to play, especially in South Bend. But the one thing that concerns me is the 146 yards they gave up to AnM. Now, granted, they ran it 38 times, but generally what we need to do, which Al Golden loves to do, which is the pass rush, we have to have an offense that's going to get us ahead. That's what we're going to need. We can't, and I say Al Golden is not a great run stopper, but he's excellent with coming up with plays that we can run that will get the quarterback shook, get him off his sorts, get him off his launch pad like they did Connor Wigman. That is what you want. Looking back at the AnM Aggies, Wigman was 12 of 30 for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now this is a guy who is a sophomore, but was showing promise last year. You cannot have a guy that is out there with confidence. And he looked good the first drive, guys. I know that's what Al Golden was thinking. Okay, we're going to light him up. Even in College Station, and I can't say this enough, this is where people have to really step back and analyze. Notre Dame was in a hostile environment. You have to look at this team and be impressed because they went into a hostile environment, closed out the noise, and defensive linemen. Listen, a lot of people are going to be upset with it. Was somewhat upset because they kept jumping. These guys on that line are hungry, and I got to give a stamp to the AnM offensive line. They did a phenomenal job considering they had the same problems that we had. An unseasoned O-line, and they did, for the most part, a fairly decent job. Because the questions they had were on the O-line, as well as the secondary. I think AnM gets it together. I think they end up being a team that could very well sneak into the college football playoff. Maybe, but maybe not. As for what we did, there's really not much else you can talk about. Between Howard Cross the third, as well as Riley Mills, who was all over the place last night. You got Christian Gray, and I'm just telling you, I was so impressed with the way this defense was all over the place. They were really good. Guys caught the ball. They were there. Other than the exception of a few maybe position assignments they missed, overall the defense was great. You can't argue with giving up 13 points, not to mention the gamble that Marcus Freeman, which I have no problem with, was a great gamble, and the defense backed him up on it. Even the fourth down that he went for it deep in deep in AnM territory, it changed the course of the game. Which, by the way, that was a first down. I agree with all you Irish faithful. I don't know how they missed that. Maybe, like somebody said in one of the comments, terrible ACC officiating. Nothing new. However, I think Marcus Freeman is continuously winning his guys by making decisions like that, and those are the decisions that can make, break, and build confidence as a program. Not just in a season, but as a program, because you have hundreds and thousands of players that are out there watching you on Saturday night. When they see that you're willing to take that stand for your offense as well as your defense, I don't care what anybody says. When you look at this situation as a defense, you think to yourself, my coach believes in me. My coach believes we can stop him. My coach has faith that we can get this done. But 23-13 is the final, you guys. Notre Dame pulls out one of the toughest games they're going to have of the season. I would argue the toughest. 6 months ago, you would have said it. I would have told you it was going to be Florida State. But as of now, the Irish controlled their own destiny throughout. Went out, we could be talking playoffs. Let me know what you guys think as we prepare for Northern Illinois next week. I will put a post up for you guys on Talk Like a Champion group on Facebook, but let me know if there's any opinions you guys have on Instagram at Mr. CeeLo. Also, don't forget, join our group at Talk Like a Champion, where you get exclusive access to me, Mr. CeeLo, because I run the show. But then you also have the ability to voice your opinions there. And also, I will have the group of the week and the comment of the week, the commenter of the week. So keep an eye out for that. Commenter of the week and the Facebook group of the week. I will be expanding eventually, you guys. But until we meet again, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun rise warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.